right, everybody. Today we have Aaron Hirschhorn, who is the founder and CEO of Gallant. And they are a new, and by the way, I'm going to let you explain this better. I'm just reading off the site explanation. So a new and unique regenerative medicine business focusing on helping pets have better, high quality lives. And so on your site, it says stem cell banking and therapeutics for pets. So I have no idea what that means. I'm going to need it in practical terms, Aaron, but first and foremost, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it. Everything's going as well as it could be in this world. The company is called Gallant.
Oh, my bad.
Although we do have, there was the Mitsubishi Gallant, which came out in the 90s that sometimes sneaks in there.
Is that only one L?
Yeah, so we do, I think that's one L, yeah.
Yeah.
We do stem cell therapy for pets. And so I'll back up. I mean, I feel like I need to start just by explaining a little bit about what stem cells are, if that's okay. So we're born with stem cells. Everybody is born with stem cells, and stem cells are the way we heal. If you get a cut on your arm, a burn, a scratch, whatever it is, you've got those stem cells that go to that area and they regenerate into new tissue. The problem is, as we get older, we lose our stem cells. By the time we're 70, we've lost over 99% of our stem cells. The ones that we have left aren't working that well anymore. That's why it takes longer to heal when we get older. And this is basically directly tied to the aging process. So part of the reason that we get old and have disease is because we're running out of these stem cells. So I got into this when stem cells actually cured an injury of mine, and I'll come back and talk about it. But what people do today is they store their kids' young stem cells. I don't know if you have children, but you've got the umbilical cord blood banking. So at birth, people take their kids' stem cells and they throw it on ice. And the idea is, hey, in 30, 40, 50 years, they might be useful for something. That doesn't exist in pets. And so we've created that market. What we've come up with is a way to do the equivalent. So when you have a young dog or cat, when they're getting spayed or neutered, we are able to get stem cells from the reproductive tissue, basically the balls, testicles, you got it, like the uterus. We get the stem cells from that stuff that the vet was going to throw into the trash. And then those stem cells are available as medicine, not like humans, hey, in 70 years, it might be worth something, because pets don't live that long. We actually have treatments, and we're developing treatments today. So if your pet has an orthopedic injury, develops arthritis, has allergies, kidney disorders, we've now got your pet's young, healthy stem cells on ice, ready to treat. Got it. So that's the model.
Perfect. And so if you're to think of a practical use case, maybe a case study per se, how people are like, okay, I want to work with Gallant. In what scenario would I actually go to you guys? And what does a practical use case look like?
Yeah, so you're a new pet owner, and in fact, dog ownership has gone through the roof during the pandemic. Like, shelters are emptying out. Normally, you've got over 1 million spays and neuters every month in this country. It's going to be higher because of this pandemic. So when you're getting your dog spayed and neutered, you're scheduling that with the vet. At the same time, you go onto our website and you purchase our stem cell banking plan, and then we take care of the rest. So we have a kit. Like a temperature controlled tissue collection kit. We send that to the vet. The vet puts the testicles or ovaries or uterus in there, sends it back to our lab in San Diego, and we isolate and cryopreserve those stem cells.
So if they get, a practical use case might be if they get injured, the stem cells could come into play.
Sorry. Yes. So you save them in the beginning, and then when do you need it? That's the question.
Yeah.
Well, what's remarkable is stem cells underlie healing across all diseases and injuries. So it's almost like, it's strange to think about it, but the use cases span almost all injuries and illnesses. Now, when you actually look at the data, when you look at where stem cells have been shown to be very effective in pets, osteoarthritis is a huge one. Right now, if you're an old dog, there's like an 80-90% chance you have osteoarthritis. And the only treatment is painkillers, anti-inflammatories. All this stuff just makes the disease worse. Stem cells actually address the underlying inflammation and degeneration. So arthritis is a big one. Kidney disorder in cats is a big one. Broken bones, torn tendons, ligaments. So I got a stem cell treatment on my back. When I was 29, I had really bad back injury, had 2 surgeries. For the next 10 years, was taking cortisone shots like twice a year. They burned my nerve, tried everything. I got an injection of my own stem cells into the 2 injured discs. And that's how I got into this business, because it changed my life.
And
And
it's
all of
gone
a
now.
sudden I'm healthy again. Gone.
Got it.
We were talking before we started. I've been kite surfing like multiple times now. I couldn't do that for 10, 15 years. I couldn't do anything.
Wow.
So
That's
really
incredible.
crazy.
That's why you hear about all these athletes getting stem cell treatment. So now I actually understand. Oh, okay. It makes sense now. That's great.
All the athletes are doing it, like super cutting edge. And insurance isn't covering it yet. The FDA makes it hard. There's a lot of challenges, especially on the human side, that by working with animals we avoid. We get much quicker time to market. We have much more flexibility to manipulate the cells. And we have, in an ironic way, like this shorter lifespan to actually test stuff. And that's interesting too.
Got it. That's awesome. So how do you guys, and I do want to talk about DogVacay in a second too, and how it relates to all this as well, because you're the co-founder of that one. So how does the business work? How do you guys make money?
So we have 2 divisions or business lines. It doesn't mean a lot when you're a startup, obviously, but the first is we have a consumer-facing stem cell banking division, just like umbilical cord blood banking, but now for pets. So the consumer pays for that off our website, or the vet recommends it. Second business line is we're actually developing therapeutics. So I have what's called a GMP compliant lab in San Diego. It's got special, air handling and concentration and all sorts of FDA rules and SOPs and all that stuff. And in there, we're actually developing therapies that go through clinical trials. We have a partnership with a major pharma company. They're paying for a clinical trial that we have for feline, for cat chronic kidney disease. And if that's successful the way we expect, that's just an off-the-shelf drug like anything else that you buy from the vet. So we're developing both the consumer banking and then this off-the-shelf treatment business.
Got it. And what are the approximate costs for those?
For the consumer, for the banking, it costs $95 a year. Wow. And then there's a upfront processing cost of about $300, and we discount that here and there with vets and everything. So we tried to make it accessible. I mean, we lose money up front as we're processing, and then eventually we make it back on the storage over the life of the pet. And we're not charging a lot for the therapies. We're not trying to make money on the therapies. To me, it's like, this is brand new for most people. A lot of vets don't even know about stem cell therapy. So if I can show that it works, that's going to drive the whole business. And so we're trying to just make it accessible. It's all about making it accessible.
How long have you guys been around? How many customers do you have today?
We launched in October of last year, so it's been a few months. We were on Shark Tank in November of last year, which was a lot of fun, and we got a bunch of customers from that. And then things have kind of.
I remember you now.
Yeah, did you see me on Shark Tank?
Yep.
Yeah, it was fun. It was actually a great experience. So we've got some customers from that, and things super really slowed down with the pandemic, and it feels like maybe just now they're starting to pick up a little bit, but it's all pretty new. Got
it. Okay. What numbers are you open to sharing around the business? Could be employees, growth rates. I know you just started, so it's hard to share.
Yeah, we just started. I mean, there's not the numbers, frankly, aren't just that interesting yet. But we've got now dozens of partner vets. We do have hundreds of customers, and it's been and we have now actually our 4th patent. We have 4 patents that really help us with the specific type of stem cell. And this is going to be a long one. We raised almost $15 million because I feel like there's just going to be there's a tough one. You got to change awareness levels. You have to change consumer behavior. You have to change vet behavior. So we got to be around to be able to figure this out.
So are you, I guess, for customer acquisition right now, are you partnering with vets? That's one channel. And then for consumers, what are you doing on that side?
Yeah, so we're doing both. We do through the vets. And so the idea is, hey, you're already getting the spay neuter, and the vet says, hey, we have this once in a lifetime chance to get stem cells at this moment. So don't throw it away. And the vet recommends it. The beauty of that model is vets are doing 1 million spays and neuters a month. So all we have to do is get some attachment right there. And for that, we have both digital marketing to the vets, as well as what we call our veterinary community manager team, who in a normal world is going to visit the vet, and they're hanging out in the front office, and then talking to customers, and they're talking to the front office staff. So that's a powerful channel. but it requires, high level awareness and this long wooing process and a lot of time to onboard the vets and train them and do all that. And then we do direct to consumer. It's challenging. My last business, DogVacay, was think of it like an Airbnb for dog sitting. And we would spend a lot of money, trying to market directly to customers. But the biggest challenge there was we had to find them when they were traveling. It's a travel business, dog boarding. If I was telling you about it and you weren't traveling, in one ear, out the other. This one's even harder because I've got to find you before, like really after you get a dog, or right around when you get a dog, before the dog has been spayed or neutered. And I'm selling you something that you don't know exists, that you don't care about, that you don't know about, and a lot of chances your vet might not even know about it. So we were leading with a lot of content. Our blog is now generating several 100,000 visitors a month, which has been awesome. A lot of content and continuing education. We're doing some interesting things where we're actually giving away the service. In some senses, we were realizing that it was cheaper for us to give away a spay neuter to a customer than to market directly to them. And the advantage is we have this really cool feedback loop where if we sign up a customer, that customer is going into the vet and they're saying, hey, can you do this for me? So all of a sudden now we're giving away a procedure free to a customer. And in fact, we're even paying for the spay neuter, and I'll personally drive them in my Uber, to the vet, whatever it is. We try to make this great experience. But now the veterinarian is doing the whole procedure in service of a mutual customer, and they are automatically getting onboarded. So we figured out some sideways hacks to it that we're trying to blow out. But man, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah, tons of education for sure. But you know what I loved about what you're doing? It's product-led growth using testicles. But it works because it's yes, it's a big education process, but it seems like a no-brainer. Something like this, everyone would just start talking about. It's yeah, you got to get this, you got to get this. Yeah, I'm excited about the journey for you there. And I guess for you, thinking about DogVacay, so you started that business in 2011?
Yeah, I started. So DogVacay started in 2011. It was similarly driven by an experience with a dog. My wife and I left our 2 dogs in a kennel for a 10-day trip. We came back to what was a $1,400 bill, and my dog Rocky was hiding under my desk for 3 days.
Wow.
And we started by just a Yelp listing. This is right when Yelp was starting. They started in 2009, I think. So it was just growing. We put on a Yelp listing for dog boarding out of our house, and the shit blew. Can I curse? Shit blew up.
Good. Yeah.
And it was all of a sudden we're dog sitting out of our house. We made 40 grand that year, and I just started taking essentially the collaborative consumption or marketplace concept and applying dog sitting to it. And we grew that to over 100 million in revenue, merged it with Rover in 2017. And that business, again, notwithstanding the pandemic, is doing extremely well.
Got it. So what I know what SoftBank put money into WAG, right? It was really just WAG versus Rover, I guess.
Yeah, and WAG's really struggling. Actually, SoftBank sold back to management. They did some buyout, and SoftBank's out of that now. Yeah, a tough one. And
so why? I guess why? Oh, I guess you got out obviously because you guys merged, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna go do Gallant. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I sold, and they've been running that thing.
What are some? I guess you did that for 6 years or so. What do you think are some practical lessons you got from that you're carrying over to what you're doing right now?
Oh my God, so much. The most practical lesson of all is, I think, just anything that any CEO learns is you can't do too many things. You've got to do way less. And so constantly, and my team's used to it now, but every couple of weeks we're should we really be doing that thing? Can we do without doing that? And so we're always trying to cut things that we're doing to make room for the 2 or 3 things that are really impactful and that really drive our metrics. The other thing I've done a lot is, with DogVacay, I didn't really know why we were growing in the beginning. We had some product market fit and PR and this and that. And it wasn't until much later that growth actually slowed and we had to re-engineer a lot of things and look at our KPIs that we started to figure out why. And one of the main reasons that we were growing was just all around content. I mean, it was just all around SEO. And to this day, I mean, Rover, DogVacay, you're getting 2/3 of the customers from Google and some version of it. And so now we spend a lot of time on the content, knowing that it doesn't feel like you get a lot out of it out of the gate, but it endures and it builds and it adds up. And all of a sudden we're sitting on hundreds of thousands of visitors. Hey, most of them don't care about stem cells, but the 0.5% that do, we can now start taking over. And so a lot of content, PR, investing in all those things. Shark Tank for the same reason. It's like, we didn't need the money for Shark Tank. We just know that it's this new concept. And so anything I can do to get it out there is another big lesson. And I think those are the two biggest things.
And roughly how many new customers did you get from being on Shark Tank? I'm just wondering what the Shark Tank PR effect looks like.
No, not many. It was not like in the thousands the way some people think. But remember, this is not a DR product. I'm not selling like ice cream for cats. This is something that you can only buy before your dog or cat is getting spayed or neutered, and it's a high price, high consideration. But in terms of awareness, like we onboarded a lot of vets after that. We've had tons of inquiries. We're building. So it's like, it's just this nurturing this awareness to turn it into sales over time.
Got it. Okay.
And I've heard, by the way, other companies, I've heard you get anywhere from like a few 100,000 in sales to like less. So yeah. I don't think it's typically like a huge spike there.
Got it. Before we started, you talked about living forever, and I'm assuming that's probably your life mission to do that for yourself and help others do it. So how are you planning to do that? What are you doing right now for that?
Okay, well, what people don't realize, and actually a lot of people, I say it and people don't believe me, and like my chief science officer is going to yell at me because I talk about this stuff, but aging is not certain. Like, we don't need to actually age. When we take a look at what happens as part of the aging process, it is a knowable combination of several biological factors. And I can go into it, but for example, you've got free radicals going around your system and your mitochondria aren't working as well and your lysosomes get gummed up with stuff. The point is, all of those things that are underlying aging, if we view that as the disease itself, we now are beginning to intervene in that. And so essentially helping your body continue to repair itself at the rate that it does when you're 15 years old, that's the goal here. And you can live forever. And part of that will be saving and culture expanding your young stem cells. So save your young stem cells as an animal. What I really want to do is I want to take my dogs and cats and give them a once or twice a year infusion of their own young stem cells. And the idea would be that would help them not only avoid disease, but actually live healthier longer. And stem cells combined with a couple other versions of this therapy, I believe will have people living. I think the first person to live to 200's already been born. And I think that, for us to be living in the hundreds of years is not going to be out of the question very soon.
Yeah, that's insanity. So Gallant it's one part of it. I'm assuming you're going to be doing something else after this to continue to advance this mission.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think if we could show it in our animals first, that's when people start to pay attention. Like, oh my God, my dog who should live to 12 is living to like 19. You're going to start wanting that for yourself. And right. I'd like to be able to demonstrate it in this way where you've got less regulation and the shorter lifespan to actually show these things.
I think it's one key point here is, I think it takes time to develop what your life mission might be, right? That's one thing. The other thing is it takes steps to get there. So it's not like you're trying to do it immediately. It's like, hey, I'm going to do this first and then I might do something afterwards, but it's one step at a time. Whereas people are like, oh my God, I need to have this big mission coming out the gate, coming out of college. You don't necessarily need to do that. So
yeah.
Yep.
No, well, you can always have a big mission, but you've got to choose exactly what it is that you're going to focus on. Better be like 1/100th of your big mission, because you can't do big things. You got to do little things.
Yep, totally. So
says my connection.
Yeah, I think the connection's a little wonky right now. Are you still there?
I'm there. Can you hear me? Is it back?
Yeah, I got you back now.
Cool.
Okay, so around, I do want to talk about, well, here's a side question for you, a different question. If you had $10 million right now to invest it all into one startup, can't be your company, where would you put all the money and why?
10 million to put into one startup? It's a company that I have to.
Yeah, you have to do it in 24 hours.
it's a like it has to be a startup. I'm not investing in Apple or
You can
something
pick a
like
big
that
company.
right
You can
now.
pick like an Amazon if you want.
Oh, okay, okay. Man, I certainly wouldn't put 10 million into one startup. I love the pet space. I think the pet space is just fantastic dynamics. I think pet health is an amazing market. Even some of the stuff like, Chewy as a public company is still feels like there's tons of upside. Something in this like pet health market, I got to get back to you on a specific company.
Remind me after we go off air. I have an introduction to make for you.
Okay,
So
awesome.
the other question. This is just out of curiosity. So DogVacay was in Santa Monica, correct?
Correct.
And then you moved to Miami. Why the move, and how do you
Yes.
like it there?
My wife made me move. Her family's here, and so just being your family. I did not do it for taxes, but taxes were a nice 13% benefit.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Miami is a beautiful place. There is more startup stuff happening here, like there is everywhere. You're getting a lot of people moving from California and New York to here because of the tax situation, now because of the COVID situation. I think it's really promising. I think there's a lot of cool stuff here. It's lacking the talent, but it's fun, and you can be out in the water most days, and it's a fun place to be.
You miss LA?
A little bit. I miss LA.
Got it. Okay, that was just that's out of curiosity. So, what would be your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? I'm actually not a huge business book guy. I feel like business books take a really long time to say like one or two short things. And so I like novels. I mean, I find that like anything that takes you away from your day-to-day is actually like more refreshing. And so I'll read a novel. Children of Time was one I just read, sci-fi, like out of this world stuff. And that makes me so much more refreshed than like reading about remote work.
I kind of have to read fiction now at this point. I was thinking about this the other day. I have a bunch of fiction books that I bought. I'm just like, I can't every day now when the day ends, it feels like a Friday, meaning I feel exhausted now. I used to be able to just work the whole time. I can't do it anymore. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's more tiring. It's very different. And I've got 3 little kids running around the house too. So like there's just all these levels of exhaustion that add to it. But I recently discovered Kindle's Audible feature. Like they've integrated it now in a better way where you can seamlessly switch from audio to reading. And so around the house, if I'm like just brushing my teeth or doing this and that, I can sneak in like 10 minutes here. And that's been nice too.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. I'll have to do that. Last question for me. Favorite business tool?
Business tool. Now we're not using anything that other people don't use. We're super clean here. I mean, just like Slack and the phone. I think there's too many tools. We got like probably 15, and there's none of them that I'm particularly excited about. And I try not to learn the new tools until my team tells me that like I absolutely have to.
So the pain's really there. I love that.
I
Cool.
just try to focus.
Yep.
Yeah, I just try to be like, okay, guys, you work with the tools, and we'll figure out what's important.
Got it. Well, Aaron, this has been great. What's the best way for people to find you online?
You can find me on Gallants, gallant.com. Check out the site, and my email is just aaron@gallant.com. Happy to field those.
Perfect. Thanks so much for doing this.
All right, Eric.